All right, so today we are looking at 2 to 3 step quadratic equations, solving these. So the steps are pretty much going to be the same that we were talking about in the last lesson, um, which were, in case you forgot, you want to get whatever is being squared by itself. Okay, so if I take a look at number 1, I have a squared. I want that to be by itself. So that means I'm going to have to get rid of this -7 in front. So, how am I going to get rid of it? I know you might be tempted to say, oh, just add 7 to both sides, but that's not what you really want to do. It's -7 times a squared, right? So to undo multiplication, we need to divide. So I am going to divide both sides by -7. And now I get a squared equals 1. So now this is going to look like a problem from the last lesson, okay? Once you get that variable by itself. And so now I want a, not a squared. So what do? I'm going to come in, and how do I undo squaring something? I square root it. So I'm going to square root both sides. And then if you remember from the last lesson, you have to be very careful here because you need to remember to take both roots, positive and negative. They are both solutions here. Okay, so just make sure that you do that. So first, get whatever variable is being squared by itself, take the square root, and just make sure that you include positive and negative roots. Okay, so let's try a couple of these together. Let's move on over to number 2. Okay, so this one looks a little bit different than the last one. I have an a squared. I want to get that by itself. Here, I am subtracting 7. So the way to undo subtracting 7 is to add 7 to both sides. So I'll just add 7. I get a squared equals 100. And now that the variable being squared is all by itself, now I'm ready to come in and square root both sides. Okay, so the square root of a squared is just a, and the square root of 100 is 10. Just don't forget that plus and minus. And again, if you want to write that in the funny brackets, that's totally fine too, right? So that's our proper way to write our solution set is in those curly brackets. All right, let's do a couple more. Oops, jeez Louise. There we go. Okay, let's try 3. So I want that x squared by itself. I'm going to have this mark on 7s popping up in this particular worksheet. Okay, and then I'll just see what 448 divided by 7 is real quick. And 64. All right, now I'm ready to square root both sides. So I get x equals, don't forget positive and negative, 8. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Let's jump down here to number 5 because this one does look quite a bit different. Okay, so my goal is still the same. I still want to get n squared by itself. I'm going to need to get rid of this 25, and I'm also going to get rid of this 7. I'm going to do this just like I normally would with a regular equation, right? So if it was just something real quick, if it was 25x plus 7 equals 32, what would you do first? Wouldn't you subtract the 7 from both sides first? Yes. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to subtract the 7, and then I'll divide by 25. Okay? It matters what order you do it in. Okay? So let's minus that 7 first. We'll get 25n squared equals 32 minus 7 is 25. Now I can go ahead and divide both sides by 25. And I get n squared equals 1. All right, so now that first step is done. I finally have the variable being squared all by itself. So now it's time to come in and take that square root. So this time I get positive and negative 1. All right, let's try 7 together. Oops. Move this up a little bit. Okay, so 7, let's see. Want to get n squared by itself, got to get rid of that 3 and that 10. So let's start off by subtracting 10. So 3n squared is going to equal 147. Now I want to divide both sides by 3. And what is that? I think it's 49. But let me double check. It is 49. Okay, and now I can just come on in and square root both sides, and equals positive and negative 7. All right, getting the hang of this? Let's try one more together, and then I'll let you do the rest on your own. Okay. Well, actually, was there? I think there was one. Yes, I think I want to do 11 with you. Yes, I do. Because 11 works out a tiny bit differently. So let's look at 11. So, still want to get r squared by itself? I'm going to start by adding 2. Add 2, add 2. I get 9r squared equals 100. Next step, divide by 9. Divide by 9. Uh-oh, now you're in a pickle. 100 does not divide by 9 evenly. That's fine. Just leave it. Literally leave it as 100 over 9. That's fine. Don't worry. Fractions are friends, not foes. Remember my saying? Anyway, so I have r squared by itself, so now I'm ready to come in and take the square root of both sides. You know how to take the square root of a fraction. Remember, it's just taking the square root of the top and the bottom separately. So I'm going to get r equals, the square root of 100 is just 10, and the square root of 9 is just 3. But what do I need? Plus and minus, always. Always, always, always need positive and negative. Okay? So this answer, let's put in the funny brackets. Positive and negative 10 thirds. If you want to change that to a mixed number, you can, but you don't have to. 10 thirds is just fine. Okay? Hope this helps. Try the other ones that we didn't do. I'll see you in the next video.